fundamentally, what I'm talking about when I talk about meditation for better sex is this idea of what I like to call quantum sex. It's using our atomic energy, tuning into our body's energy, and accessing that in a conscious and mindful way around our sexuality and during sex to maximize connection, awareness, and arousal. And as you start to practice some of the techniques that I'm going to be showing you and spelling out for you, and you continue, they're not hard, but there is a mind-body awareness that needs to be built, just like with any other kind of mind-body awareness. But as you build that, what you will find as you play with that in your own life is that your sexual response gets better and better, and your sexual experience gets better and better. And it actually sets you up for what I like to think of as 7 chakra orgasms, because sexual energy, if you think about the physical sensation of sexual arousal, that's a kind of energy as well. And so I think that's what we're playing with. That's what we're moving. That's where we're putting our intention on. And the kinds of things that I have found that make this really meaningful to people's sex lives, the feedback I get, or just in my own work, 25 years as a sex, love, and relationship therapist, and the author of Quantum Love, which has a chapter on quantum sex. A lot of the things that I'm going to be teaching you are spelled out in the book as well. You know, to spice it up, right? To enhance what already is working. There's so many reasons. I remember there was a study that showed there were 300 reasons that they came up with from these big national surveys of all the reasons people have sex, things that motivate us to have sex. You know, you can imagine as you think about it, right? Sometimes it's revenge sex because you want to get back on someone, or it's makeup sex, or it's sex to remind you that you're attractive, or it's sex because you just feel physically horny, or it's sex because you deeply want to connect with someone, you know, and there are hundreds of reasons. But I think that becomes a really important part when you're talking about the energy of sex and moving the energy of sex, because you have to be really, really clear about what your intention is, because where our intention and attention goes, energy flows. So I like to categorize our internal motivation. And by the way, it's going to be different every time you are sexual. And I'm not just talking about sex with someone else. I'm talking about sex by yourself as well. There will be different intentions if you get conscious of it every time you have sex. And I categorize those into 3 groups: to me, by me, and through me. Michael Beckwith is the one I first read about this concept from the Agape Institute. Now, granted, he wasn't talking about sex. He was talking about, you know, things in general, how you approach life, right? The to me is things happen to me. I'm not a conscious co-creator. I'm at the effect of whatever happens in the world. And a lot of people go about their sex lives like that. If they get lucky, they have sex. If they kind of match their partner's mood, they're more on the receptive end of their partner's energy. They don't really take the reins of their own sexual intentions. Then there is by me, where, you know, we're really moving up the mindfulness scale, so to speak. And you're starting to think, okay, I'm a co-creator, not only of my reality, but of my sexual experience. I have my own 100% here. The by me mentality is things don't just happen to me. I am a co-creator in what's happening. I can move my energy. I can set intentions. I can manifest things. And by the way, if you're talking about manifestation, and this is a lot about what quantum love was as well, we now know from quantum physics that the key to the secret or manifesting is not just getting clear on what your intentions are, but being really clear energetically about the emotions behind the intentions. Because the intention is sort of the first layer. The layer that really matters is the emotional energy that you put behind the intention. So just a non-sexual example is, you know, you write yourself a check for $1 million, and you know, $1 million should manifest, right? That's sort of the classic simple explanation, right? When people talk about the basics of The Secret or manifestation, and then people complain that doesn't work, right? Because it's not enough to just write that check to yourself for $1 million. It's about being in the energy of one who already has that $1 million. When your energy matches that which you want to create, that's when the magic really starts to happen in all areas of life. And we now know from quantum physics that our emotional states hold different frequencies and different intensities. And that's a lot about what I talk about in quantum love. I won't spend too much time talking about that because we're talking about sex, which is an aspect of this. But quantum love and the energy of our intentions is a big part of this, because when we think, because first of all, sexual energy, sexual arousal, sexual energy, orgasm is very high frequency manifesting energy. This is when you hear about sex magic. And people who practice this will set an intention of something they want to create, even non-sexually, even non-relationally, in their careers, in their larger lives, in their work in the world, whatever that is, and in their relationships. They'll set that intention and be in the energy of that intention. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do this in a minute, before they become sexual. And they use that as setting the foundation and setting the energetic scene, so to speak, for their sexual encounter, whether it's alone or with someone else. And then as they reach orgasm, it's almost like a massive push out to the quantum field of the energy of those intentions. So having good sex makes you a master manifester. And there is a yin and a yang, a masculine and a feminine to sex. I'll be talking about that some as we go on. And when I talk about that, I don't mean, male and female, because gender really doesn't have to do anything. Doesn't have anything to do with it necessarily. So we can have two men together, two women together, men, women together, whatever they are. One of you typically is more in their masculine, and one of you typically is more in their feminine. And we'll talk more about what that means as we progress and how to work with both of those, because that's really what creates the polarity and the sexual chemistry, regardless of what your sexual preference or orientation is. So a lot of what I'm talking about, some of these things that work with yin and yang or masculine and feminine energy, that's what I'm talking about. Other terms that I want to make sure I mention, because I'll be bringing them up as we move through some of these techniques, is yoni, which is sort of the Sanskrit word for sacred gate or genitals, in particular a woman's genitals, lingam for a man's genitals. Kegels, which both men and women have. They are the muscles that surround the vagina and anus, or the scrotum and the anus, in a figure 8 of muscles. They're the same muscles that you squeeze to stop the flow of urine when you're midstream, and you have to hold your pee in. Those are your Kegels. And I'm going to get into specifics about how to access these and some of these other muscles, because they become important in these meditations and in moving the energy. When I say Kegels or squeeze your Kegels, I'm saying squeeze those muscles that are in that figure 8. So all of us can do that right now, because I want to make sure you're doing this correctly. And don't stress if you're not. Just start to get the feel of it and make note of it, because this is often something that we need to practice, because not a lot of people do this correctly. So if you imagine squeezing the muscles like you really have to pee, right? And you're holding it in, or you're midstream and you want it to stop for some reason, although I wouldn't do your exercises this way because you can cause a urinary tract infection, but you squeeze those muscles, and you can do it right now. Now, the key is to leave your anus relaxed. So you're really only squeezing in the front. Hopefully, and this is for men and women, hopefully for men, it really helps with staying power to start to access these muscles. For women, it really helps with arousal. And for everyone, these are all muscles that are part of creating the flow of energy, the momentum of the energy as it moves around your body, the sexual energy, which we'll be getting to. When I say a root lock, I'm saying to squeeze it all, right? The behind and the front. So can you see the difference? The best way to do it, I find, is you squeeze everything at once. In fact, let's just do this clench and hold. This is a really good exercise to do. It's a Taoist technique where you just sit comfortably wherever you are. Relax your face and your jaw. And then just take a deep breath in and fill yourself with as much breath as you possibly can as you breathe in. So you're breathing in really, 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 really deeply, filling your belly as much as you possibly can. And then once it's as full as it possibly can be, just let it slowly exhale. So I want you to do that 2 more times. Take a really deep breath in, fill it up, 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 up as much as you can. Hold it, and then exhale. Now on this 3rd breath, we're gonna breathe in as deeply, as deeply, as deeply as you can. And when you're breathed all the way in, all the air you can breathe in, don't exhale. Now I want you to clench every muscle in your entire body that you can, your hands, your feet, especially around your abdominals, your kegels, your butt, your front, everything that you can possibly squeeze. And we're going to hold it just for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, what you'll find is if you do this clench and hold 3, 4, 5 times, it's pumping blood flow to your genitals and your entire body because you're squeezing and then opening up the blood vessels. And with your muscles, you're releasing to let the flow go. And most people say that they start to actually feel some arousal just from that. But the reason I'm showing you that is in order to access your Kegels. So let's do it again this time, but a different version. This time, when we breathe in, I want you to breathe, breathe, breathe in, and then just squeeze the pelvic lock that I'm talking about, right? The root lock. So just squeeze all those muscles in after you breathe all the way in, your transverse abdominals, which are those muscles around your abdomen, your around your urethra where you stop the flow of urine, your butt, you're just squeezing all down there after you take that deep breath. And when you breathe out, I want you to just open it as wide as you can. So take a deep breath in. I like to imagine light coming in as I do that. I don't know why, it just sort of enervates my body. So you breathe in, you can just breathe in the air. You can imagine light flowing in. Now you squeeze, 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 squeeze all down at the bottom. And then as you breathe out, you blow out your mouth and you imagine opening your genitals. For women, you're imagining opening that yoni. For men, you're imagining opening your behind as wide as you can. And then let it rest gently open. One more breath like that. So you breathe in. Tighten all those muscles as tightly as you can. And we're going to blow out and open up as wide as we can and rest gently closed. And then rest gently closed. That's really what state we're supposed to be in walking around our lives. Most of us are walking around tight-assed. I like to call it, we're clenching, especially if we've had trauma or we're anxious about something. But when you're resting gently open, that's our natural state. And in fact, a lot of mystics say that when you're in that gentle open state in your root, you're actually not only more grounded, but you have more access to your intuition, which is interesting. So now, from this gently open place, see if you can just tighten around the front and leave your behind. And this is for men and women, and leave your behind gently open, just around the front. Now, this is hard to master at first, so don't stress yourself out. But if you can, squeeze gently around the front, release that, and then squeeze your behind, leaving the front open. And release that. Squeeze around the front like you're holding in the flow of urine, but your behind is relaxed. Our tendency is to clench both. You see what I'm saying? So this is a really important thing to practice for a couple of reasons. One, because like I said, it's going to be important as we move forward, and but also it's key to your staying power for men, for your orgasmic potential for women, and for working with the sexual energy. And by the way, it's also a really important way to keep your pelvic health strong, especially for women who struggle with prolapse and incontinence later in life. So if you're really working with these Kegels and that root lock, you're strengthening your pelvic floor, which is the floor of muscles that hold up all your reproductive organs. The other term that I'll talk about is what we call a pelvic bowl. So, imagine a beautiful kind of oblong bowl that rests, metaphorical bowl, obviously, that rests right in your pelvis between your two hips. This is from, all genders. That becomes a really important receptacle of pooling and moving energy. And we'll be getting to that too. Okay, let's just see how we're doing on time. All right. So I want to just work through as we start to move into these meditations and exercises that we're going to do an actual guided meditation, but I really think it's important to learn these techniques and play with them. And by the way, the best way to do this is to learn how to do it and play with it on your own first, and then start to practice with a partner once you feel some mastery. But it's much easier to learn these things on your own first, just by meditating or through self-stimulation. You'll see where that might work in as we move forward. But before you do any sexual encounter by yourself or with someone else, like I was saying, it's really important to set the intention. And there's no right or wrong intention of, that you set. There's whatever it is, it's fine, but it should be clearly about how you want to feel. That is the key. So, do you want to feel playful in this sexual experience? Sensual, deeply connected to the person you're having sex, passionate, intense? Your moods and your intention and the feeling you want may vary from time to time, but you want to make clear what is the intention, and can I be in the by me or through me energy rather than to me? Can I be in my power here, which is what we want? So I'm going to take you sort of into the grounding and give you an example of a very quiet, to yourself, intention blessing that you can do. Okay. So first we want to ground, and we've been doing some of that inadvertently through these open yoni breaths, or bony for behinds for men, that we've been doing. But what I like to do is take a deep breath in, imagine light, any color you want, flowing in through the top of your head. And as you breathe out, it flows through your body, out your tailbone, and deep, deep, deep into the earth, like making a grounding, a rooting there in the center of the earth. So you're breathing in, pelvic floor open. And just take a few grounding breaths. And move your body into what I like to call home frequency. So let's just, for the sake of this exercise, there's no wrong answer. Choose a feeling that you next want to feel, or if you were about to have a sexual encounter right now, and we're not going to, at least not live, you guys can do it later, but you can choose any feeling you want that you would like to feel next time you have sex, or if you were about to have a sexual encounter. What would it be? Playful, passionate, intense, intimate, soulful? You choose, but a feeling, a feeling that you want to have. And whatever comes to mind first for the purposes of this exercise is absolutely fine. Now, as you have that word, this is the key to moving into what I call home frequency, the frequency that manifests your deepest desires. The key is to move yourself into that state in your mind with a visual. So let's say that the way you want to feel is soulfully connected, right? Or passionate, whatever it is. You imagine a scene real. So maybe it's something from your past or imagined a fantasy that you have. And there's no wrong answer, but come up with a scene in your mind of what would really elicit feelings of X, however it is you want to feel. So let's say if you want to have a playful sexual encounter, that you could imagine a scene where you're tickling and wrestling, or where you're, having sex and cracking up together, and rolling around the bed belly laughing, or you're naked wrestling. I don't know, right? But whatever comes to mind. Now, here's the key. And this is true for manifesting anything, but especially in the sexual realm. You want to put yourself in your mind's eye. So in your imagination, imagine yourself in that scene, real or fantasy made up, in that scene as if it's happening right here, right now. Okay, so close your eyes, you've grounded yourself. Imagine yourself in that scene where you are feeling that feeling you most want to feel in your sexual encounter. And be there in first person. So you are not watching yourself naked wrestle and tickle whatever it is on the bed. You are actually in the moment, in your body, in your mind, right? Because your brain and your body do not know the difference between reality and rehearsal. So as you go into the imagination in first person of the feeling that you want to create, you are actually moving your body into that frequency, which then interacts with the quantum field, which then starts to create that reality. So that's a key to this. Okay, so just spend a few seconds, a little bit of time in the energy of that which you want to create, bathing yourself. And you'll often feel, because this is what I call home frequency, those feelings that we most desire, really anything up the scale from curiosity and openness to passionate, to playful, to loving, to soulful, to blissful, all those feelings are in the home frequency zone. And when you are in the energy of home frequency, when you're putting yourself there in first person in your mind's eye, your body meets you there, and you'll feel often, this is one of the telltale signs, you'll feel a spreading, a sort of bubbling, happy spreading in your chest. That's what I call the open-hearted state. That's a really good cue that you're in home frequency. You're in a really good manifesting zone. So just take a minute and see if you can play with that, if you can feel what it feels like in your body. And as you practice this, like right now, I'm not imagining a scene at all, but I know how to move my body into home frequency automatically because my body now knows what that feels like. It's a really natural feeling that we're born with, but gets conditioned out of us. So see if you can put yourself there. And once again, no pressure. You can go back and practice all of this. I'm just giving you a really good taster of how this all works. So what we would be doing, or what you would be doing before a sexual encounter, and once again, practice this on your own first, is take those deep breaths, ground yourself, move yourself into the energetic frequency of that which you want to create, and say to yourself silently or out loud, this is just an example of what you can say, I am in home frequency, filled with anticipation and ready to share and merge my energy with my partner. My intention for this sexual experience is to feel blank. Okay, I'm in home frequency, filled with anticipation, ready to share and merge my loving energy, because your energy in home frequency is always loving, whether you love that person or not. My intention for this sexual experience is to feel X. Now, I also like to say this: let me take any negative energy from him, her, they, and transform it to positive energy. Let my body be a source of pleasure, love, fulfillment for myself and my partner. Let my body be a source of pleasure, love, and fulfillment for myself and my partner. And let me take any or all negative energy that comes into my system through this encounter and transmute it, transform it to love, to positive energy. Because I have found time and time again, there can be an energetic hangover of sex, because when you do have sex with someone and It's more for women than for men because we take in, although men also are being exposed if they're having, and if they're the givers of intercourse, they're still being exposed to energy. But those of us, men and women, who are on the receiving side of intercourse are receiving more energy and have a greater, for lack of a better term, energetic hangover. So I find it extremely valuable to be conscious about transmuting. And this is true for all things, but especially for sex, where you're so intimately, energetically sharing, to really be clear that you're transmuting. Because if that person has any of their own stuff, it's, you know, coming into you. So be really clear that, you know, not only who you have sex with, not only for STDs, but for energetic reasons, but also make sure that you're setting the intention to transmute it to love and to joy. Okay. Let's move on. And I just want to run through, many of you probably already are familiar with the chakras, but I'm going to take you through what I call a sexual meditation to give you a taste of how this energy can start to really move. But I work a lot with the chakras. Okay, so we're going to work with the pelvic bowl, which I've already explained to you. We're going to work with that lock, that root lock, which is the squeeze of the Kegels, the whole thing, not just the front, but all of it. And we're going to work with the chakras. So there are lots of them, but we're going to work with 7, the main ones, which is root. So that's right around your, you know, your vagina or your penis or whatever it is. Down at the base of your spine is your root chakra. And the color of that energy, if you want to play with colors as you get more used to this, is red. Then there is the sacral, which is right below your belly button. That's the sacral chakra. So the root chakra is about safety and grounding. Sacral is a lot about creativity and sexuality. It's where the reproductive organs are. It's in this, it correlates with that. The energy of that is orange. Okay, then comes the solar plexus, which is sort of above the belly button where the diaphragm is. That color is yellow. That's the seat of self-worth. And then comes the heart, which is green. The heart center, which is about giving and receiving love. Okay, that's the 4th. The 5th is the throat. That's about self-expression and speaking your truth and authenticity. And that color is blue. The 3rd eye, which is the seat of intuition, is indigo, and the crown is violet. So it's the colors of the rainbow, and the crown is really your connection to your higher self. And that becomes important with all manifesting. And it's really valuable if you have inhibitions around sexuality or you tend to disassociate during sex. Being in your body and connecting to the chakras, as I'm going to show you, and recognizing the difference between you and the observer, right? You as ourselves in these bodies and our essential selves, which are the one that sort of is the loving, compassionate observer, is a really valuable thing to recognize. So I'm going to take you through an exercise now. Let me see if I can pull up this music that was working. Yeah, okay. Hopefully you all can hear that. Okay, so this is a great way, this meditation, to create more desire, better response, creative inspiration. So we're going to start by placing your focus on your breath, okay? Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just take a couple of breaths like that, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you're quietly sitting here in your mind, I want you to silently say hello. Just say hello to yourself in your mind. Because the one who says hello is your ego self, is this personality, these bodies, right? The one that hears the hello, that observes the hello, is your essential self. So just say hello to yourself and tune into those 2 perspectives. And then take a few breaths in the same way we did before to ground. So you've heard about those, you know, the different colors of the different chakras. Maybe choose a color that really speaks to you. or any color that comes to you, of beautiful light. As you breathe in, it's flowing through your body and filling every cell. And as you breathe out, it's shooting out your pelvic floor, out your yoni or your behind, out your sacral chakra, deep, 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 deep into the earth, making roots there. So just take a couple of beautiful breaths like that. And that light is permeating your cells, your muscles, your organs. It's a beautiful healing light. And as you breathe in, it's coming in. As you breathe out, it's spreading through your body, head to toes, and going deep into the earth. And now I want you to put your attention on your heart, in your heart center, that green, beautiful center. And now as you continue to breathe in that beautiful light through the top of your head, I want you to send it to your heart center. Just notice if maybe as you breathe in, that light is building and flowing into your heart. And as you breathe out, imagine it intensifying. So now we're just building the energy, building the light in our hearts. And notice if maybe the left side of your body expands a little bit or relaxes a little bit. But imagine that beautiful healing light filling your heart, relaxing it, illuminating it. So as you breathe in, the light fills that beautiful center. And as you breathe out, it intensifies. Imagine your heart almost opening and expanding even bigger to hold all that beautiful light. And if you're feeling it and you're continuing to take those breaths from that open, expanded, flower-like state of your heart, you can even send some of that light out to another person, someone you love, someone you want to connect with, someone you even want to heal. Or you can just keep it for yourself today and just keep it inside your own heart. But this is one of the keys to sharing energy and sharing sexual energy, or any energy, that it shouldn't come directly from our internal source. It comes through us. So we're breathing the light in through the top of the head, breathing it into the heart, filling the heart, and then sharing it if we're going to share it. So hopefully now your body is filled and flowing with light. And from this place, just put your attention on that pelvic bowl. It's that oblong, I sometimes imagine just even a crystal, like it's often alabaster or selenite in my mind. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's rose quartz, maybe it's carnelian, maybe it's just whatever. But imagine a beautiful oblong bowl. It almost looks like a boat that sits at the base of your pelvis. It's nestled in there between your hips. An energetic bowl. It's not real, obviously, but it is a very powerful tool in working with this energy. So as you put your awareness on that bowl is going to hold some of the beautiful light that you're moving around your body. And the light is sort of a form of energy. Where attention goes, energy flows. And as you practice this, you may even feel it now, but as you practice it, I promise you will feel it more and more. And we're gonna bring our Kegels into this, okay? So as you breathe in, I want you to squeeze your Kegels, do that root lock, complete lock. And as you breathe in, imagine the light flowing in through the top of your head. And as you squeeze those muscles, it's making the bowl expand and open. And all of that beautiful light is flowing into the bowl. And as you breathe out, relax that root lock and imagine the bowl just settling in there into your pelvis, pooled with the light. I love for this kind of exercise, and as you're moving the energy, to imagine the light the energy you're working with almost like a sparkling liquid. So whatever color you want, as you're breathing in, the light flows in, you're squeezing that root lock, the bowl in your pelvis is expanding and it's pouring into that bowl. And as you breathe out, it's settling and filling the bowl. So take some more breaths like that, filling your pelvic bowl with whatever beautiful light your imagination tells you. Because where that imagination, where that intention goes, energy flows. There's no difference physiologically between reality and rehearsal. Now, from this space, continue to breathe and fill that bowl. A lot of people report feeling a warmth around their pelvis, feeling an engorgement around their pelvis, especially on the breathe out, as you loosen, as you relax those muscles and you feel the fullness of that pelvic bowl and the energy is pooling there. Now we're going to play with this energy and I'm going to show you some ways to do it. Okay, the first is what the Taoists refer to as a microcosmic orbit, where we're going to be pulling the energy up from that pelvic bowl, up our spine, almost like a straw. And on the breath in, and I'll walk you through this, and on the breath out, it flows over the top of our face and our head, you know, down our face, down our neck, down the center of our body, and back into the bowl. So we're circling the energy, the beautiful sparkling liquid, up our spine, around the top of our head, and down back into the bowl. And we're going to be doing it reverse here. So as we breathe in, we're going to be opening that root lock. And as we breathe out, we're going to be squeezing it to receive the energy back in. Okay. And when we breathe in, there's a special sipping way that really helps move this. And this is not just me. I've certainly found it to be true, but most of the teachers that teach this will talk about this, that you do with the breath, like almost like you're sipping it, like your spine is a straw and you're sipping it out of the bowl up the straw. So I'm going to show you how this works and then we can play with it. So you're going, Kegels open as I'm doing this. Here at the top, and then as I breathe out, the root lock is closed and that bowl is opening to receive the beautiful light oil that you're imagining landing there. Okay, so just do some like 3 or 4 breaths like that to try that on. You've got that big, heavy, beautiful crystal pelvic bowl filled with gorgeous light. And you start sipping it up, feel it, imagine it sipping up your spine, coming all the way up. Over the top, squeeze, and relax. Again. Squeeze. You can see how this energy is making a circle, right? That's the microcosmic orbit. Take a few more breaths like that, and then I'll show you another way to move the energy. So we've been moving the energy around the microcosmic orbit. Now I want to show you how to move it back and forth. So let's start even with the sacral chakra, where that pelvic beautiful bowl is. So put your hand, if you will, right on your belly, right in below your belly button, in front of that sacral chakra, you know, below your belly button. Excuse me, your sacral chakra. And then put another hand on your back in exactly the same parallel location. And what we're going to do is just with a gentle press to create some of that body awareness. We're going to imagine the light inside that beautiful bowl moving to the front part of our sacral chakra and the back part of our sacral chakra, back and forth. And you can even, if you're practicing this sitting or on the floor, you can start moving your hips, your pelvis tilting as you do this, which can be a really beautiful addition, where you're doing a pelvic tilt. As you're sending the energy forward, you tilt up. And as you send it back, you tilt back and you use your breath. So as you breathe in, you press on the front and imagine that beautiful light just moving to the back, because your chakras are three-dimensional, beautiful, sparkly, swirling ball, like little atoms, balls of light. So we're breathing in and a little press, sending it to the back, and then breathing out with a little press in the back. You can even just, if you're sitting, do a little pelvic tilt with this. You can play with your root lock with this too. So as you breathe in, closed, and as you breathe out, open. So just practice that for a minute. See if you can feel the sensations. And as you really start to master these, you won't need your hands. You won't need to concentrate so much on the breath and the visualization, and the awareness of this energy moving will become second nature. And when you match that with the physical sensation of genital sensation and arousal, imagine pulling that energy up from your pelvic bowl when there's a lot of genital sensation happening through some sort of stimulation. It becomes even more powerful than what we're doing now. And it moves the arousal, so it's not just localized to your genital area. So you're doing this first and on your own, and then moving and practicing this with a partner. Now, we're gonna get into some other stuff you can do with partners too that are unique to your partner, but I just wanna introduce you first to what I call the fire breath, because we're going to play with the chakras some more and that pelvic bowl. So there's the fire breath 1 and the fire breath 2, but I'm going to teach you 1 because it's a little more direct. Fire breath 2, you're skipping chakras and it's a little more complicated. All this, by the way, is in Quantum Love. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice moving the energy up, okay? Because this becomes really amazing when you have sexual stimulation. And when you're doing this do this by yourself first. It really helps to lie on a flat surface rather than sitting, because you can really feel it. But for some people, they like sitting. You can use a toy, you can manually stimulate, you can do it in the bath, whatever you want. But we're gonna move 2 chakras at a time, okay? So if you're lying, you have your knees up on the floor of the bed, you're relaxing your jaw, you're grounded. And as you breathe in, so first you breathe out, you squeeze your Kegels on the exhale, you open them on the inhale. So as you breathe in, first just imagine as you breathe in, the root is open and you're pulling that energy up just from your root chakra to your sacral chakra. That's it. Root to sacral. And then you squeeze back down to root. That's one you can do. The second one you can do, which is how we start to move it up, is you breathe it from the root to the sacral. And as you breathe out, just like we were doing in the heart, it intensifies. So on the breathe in, it's the root is open. You're breathing the energy up to that next chakra. And as you breathe out, the root is closed and it's intensifying in that next chakra. So open Kegels, root to sacral, squeeze Kegels. And as you breathe out, that energy intensifies in the sacral. Breathe up some more from the root. Open, squeeze, intensifies. You can just stay there, root to sacral, or you can move up, sacral to solar plexus. right? So if you feel kind of enervated and energized in your sacral, just giving you a taste here, right? You can breathe. Let's take a few more breaths, root to sacral, and then we're going to go from sacral to solar plexus. So 2 more from root to sacral. Kegels open. Squeeze. Intensify. Squeeze. Intensify. And now, once again, you open the root lock, breathe up, sacral to solar plexus chakra, and as you breathe out, it's intensifying. Squeeze, filling that whole ball of yellow light with more intensity and sparkles and beauty. 2 more of that. Release. Intensify. Take 2 more like that. From your sacral to your solar plexus. Kegels open as you breathe and pull the energy up. Squeeze and let it intensify as you breathe out, almost like you're blowing on a flame. And 1 more breath like that. Now we're going to breathe it into the heart. So we go from solar plexus to heart. Kegels open. Intensify as we squeeze them. 3 more breaths like that into the heart from the solar plexus. And as you're doing that, I'll speak a little bit about how, as you know, let's say you were manually stimulating or using a vibrator first on your own, you'll feel intense sensation in your genitals. So you start pulling that sensation up using your root lock and your breath, and you will really feel this. Okay, so keep doing that. 2 more breaths, breathing it up into your heart with your Kegels open, squeezing. I shouldn't say Kegels, root lock, squeezing as you breathe out. And now let's take it all the way up. You go from your heart to your throat. So you're breathing up the energy with your root open, tighten the root and intensify it. I like to play with the colors, so as I'm breathing the light, the color gets even more intense as it's intensifying. Kegel squeezed, root lock squeezed. Two more like that. Squeeze, intensify. Let's take it up to the third eye. Breathe in with the Kegels open. Squeeze and let it intensify as you breathe out. So 3 more breaths like this, and then we're going to go to the crown, which is where you have mind-blowing orgasms, right? So imagine having an orgasm or moving toward orgasm and moving this energy all the way up. You can even do it with 1 breath. You can do it, you can skip chakras, you can move it from your sacral right up to your heart through the other chakras and focus there and go up. You can play with all different ways of doing this, but the easiest way to learn it is to go chakra by chakra. So 1 more, up to your third eye. And then we're going to go through the crown. And when we go through the crown, I want you to imagine the energy blowing out in a beautiful fountain of gorgeous light all over your body and your energetic fields as well, just bathing it in gorgeous light. So we pulled all of this energy all the way up, excuse me, we pulled all of this energy all the way up, and now we're going to blow it out the top of our heads into a gorgeous fountain. So Kegels open. It's all there, and then blow it out the top of your head. Ooh, the music matched. It tinkled as I did that. Okay, again. 2 more breaths like that. And once again, with all of these, especially if you're on your back, you can practice moving your pelvis as you're doing this, pelvic tilts as you're doing this as well. And that just adds more energy. You can add vocalizations if you want, and that adds even as you breathe out, and that adds even more energy. Now, in the few minutes we have left, I just want to give you a really beautiful exercise that I love, love, love. Which is sort of building the fire, they call it, but it's really about what a tantric technique called soul gazing. So the key is in synchronizing. We all entrain our partners without realizing it, meaning we energetically matched each other. One of the keys to quantum love, and this is a whole other presentation, is about you becoming the one that sets the energetic frequency in your life. So everybody else is really matching you rather than you being a human tuning fork ping pong, just matching everyone else. But for the purposes of a sexual encounter, especially with someone who you really want to build intimacy with, having that soul to soul connection is really the key to creating the intensity that everybody's looking for. This kind of stuff works so much better. I could give you 365 tips, tools, role plays, toys to use, and in a year you'll be back wanting more because you would have already gotten bored of most of them. Maybe a few of them you do twice, but then the novelty would be over. What you're really looking for when you're looking for novelty is intensity. So if you're with a partner you trust, who you really want to build this connection with, once you master this on your own, practice it during a sexual encounter with them as well, and practice what I call soul gazing, because it's a beautiful way to ground your energy together that is beyond words. There's lots of ways to do this. My favorite position to do this in is what's called the yab yum position. So the bigger partner, once again, doesn't matter whether you're male or female, the larger partner sits against the headboard, sort of like I'm sitting comfortably, with their legs out in front of them. And then the more lighter partner, typically the partner more in their feminine, but not always, sits on top. So your bellies are touching, your genitals are touching. You can even be, penetrated during this once you master it. But you're looking into each other's faces. Now, here's the key to soul gazing. And this is what synchronizes your energy. You are going to look directly into the eye above your partner's heart. So from where you are sitting, that's going to be on your right, but it's actually their left eye, right? So they're looking deeply into your left eye. You're looking deeply into their left eye, and you're staring. Now, this can be, you can imagine, this feels pretty intimate, but it's tremendously profound. So as you're looking into your partner's eyes, you also put your hand on their chest, right where their heart is, okay? So the partner would be doing this and looking into this eye, and I would be doing that and looking into that eye. And you just sit there like that for a few breaths. And then you slowly start to synchronize your breath. What you will notice, even if you do this for 3 minutes, which by the way, can feel like a very long time if you're not used to this level of intimacy, your heart rates will start to synchronize. Oh, my kid's calling me. Your heart rate will start to synchronize. Your energy will start to entrain to one another. And if you're having intercourse during this, I mean, this is a great way to get energetically aligned even before you have sex or as part of foreplay, because it really moves you into the same frequency. But if you can do that during sex, even without the hands on each other's hearts, but you're moving and looking at each other and connecting with each other with breath and energy, that becomes really beautiful. Now, remember what I said about moving the energy up? Okay, you ready for another really good whopper with a partner? And you can do this even while you're soul gazing. The masculine, and this could be male, whoever's more in the masculine energy, receives, from a sexual standpoint, receives energy through the genitals and shares it through their heart. That's the way we circle it. The one more in their feminine receives energy through their heart, and shares it through their genitals. So you actually can create a circle of energy during intercourse or even while you're doing the soul gazing. But if you are saying, let's say the easiest way to figure this out is in the missionary position, or if you're sitting, face to face having intercourse, and as you breathe in, imagine you can pull it up from your pelvic floor and share it from that pelvic bowl, or you can pull it in through the top of your head. So if you're the feminine in the relationship, you're pulling the energy down with the in-breath, and with the out-breath, you're moving that energy out your genitals into your partner's genitals and up to their heart. And they're pulling the energy from their genitals up to their heart and sharing it with you from their heart into yours. So you're actually creating a circle of energy from heart to genitals. The feminine is sharing through the genitals and receiving through the heart, and the feminine is receiving through the heart and sharing through the genitals, and the masculine is receiving through the genitals and sharing through the heart. And that is how you create a beautiful circle between the two of you. So as you start to master moving this energy and playing with this energy, especially with sexual stimulation and genital stimulation, not only do we end up having sex where the arousal and sensation isn't localized only to the genital area, but we can move it up our bodies for full body orgasms. We can share it with a partner and build it. And we can create so much more intensity and arousal. Just don't forget setting that clear intention and pay attention. Did your intention that you set change the nature of your sexual experience? And remember that it's really about practicing on your own first, so that you're not distracted and you get a really clear picture of how this all works and a sense of mastery. And then you share it with a partner. So hopefully that has given you a lot to think about, a lot to play with. Remember that Quantum Love, which is my latest book, has a chapter on quantum sex, where pretty much all of these techniques are spelled out pretty clearly. And you can certainly follow me on social media on all platforms at Dr. Laura Berman, where I'm always posting videos and tips. And you can go to drlauraberman.com for a lot of other open-hearted and energy and quantum love related meditations and lots of other great information. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to Unplug for having me. And I wish you guys wonderful, beautiful, fulfilling, mind-blowing sex.